One of the most poignant examples of people pressure in the Bible is the account of Elijah and Queen Jezebel. One would have thought that the day after Mount Carmel, when Elijah had beaten 400 prophets of Baal in a spiritual head-to-head, and where miracles had taken place, that he would be on a permanent high. Instead, he's drowning in a quicksand of depression because of the taunts of just one person and wishing he were dead. How could such a thing happen? Leroy Eames, in one of his books, points out from the passage in 1 Kings 19 that people pressure of this nature, when not handled properly, can cause us to do a number of things. Number one, adopt a false sense of values. 2, run from responsibility. 3, blame others for our predicament, and certainly blow things out of perspective. So what should we be looking at? And what should we be looking for when such things take place? First, we need to understand that the leader represents authority. Many a pastor will attest to the fact that when people are angry at God because of something painful that's happened in their life, it's the pastor, the tangible representation of authority, that takes the brunt of the blow. When leaders understand this, they will not take the attack personally, but deal with it sensitively and look beyond the interaction to an opportunity to bring help, comfort, or counsel. Secondly, those who take up leadership roles have to be aware that they're no longer just one of the crowd. There are times when local church leaders have to make hard decisions that, though right, may be unpopular. That goes with the territory, and again, the criticism should not be taken personally. Secure leaders simply get over it and get on with it. Football referees do not lapse into depression every Saturday because half of the crowd at the match shout abuse at the decisions that they make. Perhaps one of the reasons is that they know that they have a closer perspective of the game than most people in the stand, and also Premier League players who are booed for a failed penalty or a poor pass know that many of the spectators criticising them would not be fit enough to run the single length of the pitch without having a coronary. A well-known evangelist in the previous century, when criticised for his style of his meetings, asked his accuser how many people he had led to Christ. The critic said that he had never led one person to Christ. The evangelist's response was simple. Oh, well, in that case, I suppose I prefer the way I'm doing it to the way that you're not doing it. When a young violinist in his first concert received poor reviews in the paper, his mentor, an internationally acclaimed musician, consoled him the next day by saying, "Son, you can travel to any capital in the world and you'll never find a statue erected in the memory of a critic." The fact is that when people are busy pulling on the oars, they don't have a great deal of time to waste rocking the boat. However, and this is important, this does not mean that the leader should consider him or herself beyond criticism simply because of their role. When under fire, all of us need to ask one of two questions. Firstly, is what is being said about me true? If it is, then we obviously have something to address. C.H. Spurgeon once said, "Get a friend to tell you your faults, or better still, welcome an enemy who will watch you keenly and sting you savagely. What a blessing an irritating critic is to a wise man, and what an intolerable nuisance he is to a fool." Secondly, is what is being said about me false? And if it is false, then we need to have to ask another question. Why is this accusation being levelled? Has the accuser simply been misinformed, or might they have a personal problem that itself needs ministry? As I've written in my books on this subject, hurt people, and only whole people can really heal people. Of course, the amount of criticism that leadership attracts is minuscule in proportion to the work that they do. So why bother to include it in this or any other Cappuccino Communication session at all? Well, the reason is that criticism is always heard louder by the leader than is affirmation. And if you doubt that, consider this scenario. The end of a Sunday service in a church of, say, 200 people, 199 people, as they leave, thank the minister for his message, but at the door, one person says, "Pastor, that's the biggest load of rubbish I've ever heard in my life." Now, as the leader drives home, which comment is he really thinking about? Is it the 199 who were positive, or the one that was negative? I think we all know the answer. And here's another thing. Sometimes we reject criticism, not because of its validity, but because of the attitude in which it's being expressed. Wise leadership looks beyond the packaging to the communication itself. Even when objections are over-exaggerated, they often contain at least an element of truth. Well, there we have it. Be encouraged even under fire. God bless you. Don't forget, keep the caffeine flowing.